Hi, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition, again, of the Toole Shed. Austin Bechtold alongside Ethan Morrison, Tyler Gallo, and Nick Hederick. As always, here on the Toole Shed with special guest from the men's basketball team, Kahliel Spear. Kahliel, thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you for having me. It's my honor.
So I want to first ask you, how did you first get your start in basketball and really start to fall in love with the game?
Really, I grew up in a basketball household. My father and my mother played basketball through high school. My dad had opportunities to play in college, but he didn't pursue those. He just went on to be a student and just pursue other objectives. But when I was growing up, basketball was just always in our lives, whether we were watching it or I was shooting on the little Tykes goal in the house. It was just always something that I found fun. And I don't know, when I was younger and I was playing, I always wanted to play other sports too. I always wanted to play football and baseball, and I ended up playing them. And I thought those were going to be the sports that I was going to want to play until high school. I started hitting my growth spurts, and I realized that basketball was probably going to be the best option. And then I don't know. I feel like not everything you fall in love with through success, but success definitely helps that. And I started to see success in high school for real after having surgery once in middle school, and I thought that would kind of end things for me for basketball. So I started to see that success in high school and just never stopped.
Did those other sports help you at all to be able to improve your game at all for basketball?
I'd say so, yeah. Growing up, I was always real skinny before I got into college. So playing more contact sports kind of just showed me what it was like to be tough, and that I was going to have to get bigger if I wanted to continue to play sports as I got older. So I guess I would say that. And then I did I think 2 summers worth of swimming. I don't think anybody would guess that, but my mom and dad wanted me to do it for conditioning, and it was competitive, so it was fun, but it was definitely a different experience.
Did you have any role models growing up in your life?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to say, if I'm saying role models, I'd have to say my parents first, obviously. I always looked up to them and what they did, and everything that I did was to make them proud, so it just kind of helped me whenever I maybe didn't want to go as hard in gym or in school, just push for that. And then if you want to say celebrity role model, I have to say LeBron. That's my favorite player ever. So I always looked up to LeBron when I was growing up, watching basketball, and still do.
And so LeBron is the king.
The king.
So what I ask you is, do you have any good nicknames that you've been given? I was throwing around the real deal Kahliel earlier in the newsroom.
Okay. I mean, I hear some nicknames whenever I watch back the commentary on some of our games. The commentators will try and play with our last name. They'll be Fear the Spear and stuff like that.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. They'll say stuff like that. But I mean, everybody really just calls me Lil. I don't really have a nickname. I feel like that's kind of calm. That's how I like it. I like to be, calm.
Yeah, definitely good to, sort of carve your own path. But, you played at the Colony in Texas growing up and in high school, and you're named team captain and great success there. How did you parlay that success into moving on to the next level?
It's just work, really. My first 2 years in high school, I didn't get to play varsity basketball. I played freshman team freshman year and then JV my sophomore year. And it just always kind of, I can't say it frustrated me, but whenever I knew basketball is what I wanted to do, and I saw other people in my age range that were getting moved up ahead of me that I felt didn't put in as much work, it was kind of painful. So it just made me work even harder. My parents raised me and my brother and my sister to never give up. So it just made me work harder until I started to see that success come, and then God gifted me with some more height and some other qualities as I got older, and it just helped me. So I'll say that definitely helped. And then being a captain in high school, whenever I got to the varsity team, was big because it helped me build my leadership skills. And then I feel like once you've learned how to be a leader, it doesn't matter afterwards what grade you are. If you're a freshman in college or you're a senior, you could be a leader either. So it definitely helped.
Was there any particular moment during your high school career that you knew, I'm going to be able to play collegiately and I'm going to be good at it. I'm going to be able to have some success?
Yeah. There was always that factor where I was wondering because it wasn't until the summer leading into my senior year that I started to get my D1 offers from playing in the circuit. And I would say junior year, whenever we played our crosstown rivals, Little Elm, RJ Hampton played on their team, so we were crosstown rivals. We had a crazy game at my gym. My team ended up losing, unfortunately, but I think I finished with 32-10. Yeah, 32-10, and and I had never thought I would just do that in that big of an environment. And when I saw I could do that, and I just kind of got the buzz from around that, people talking about it, I knew that one day if I kept putting those performances together, I'd be able to play wherever I wanted.
What was that? Oh, sorry.
What were those battles like against RJ, who's now in the NBA?
Oh, yeah, they were crazy. They were definitely crazy. I mean, we were already crosstown rivals. So the Colony's initials TC and Little Elm is Ellie, right? Either town would always say TC ain't no Ellie or Ellie ain't no TC, right? Mm-hmm. It was a big rivalry, and the students always gassed it up more than maybe it was. Yeah. But those games were always packed. I remember my senior year at their place and at our place, they had to have fire marshals because all the seats were filled. Wow. And that never happened any other time of the year. I mean, we'd get attendance, but nothing like that. And it was just a environment, I don't know, because you know how college fans are crazy in their own right. Yeah. But you got high school fans too. I just feel like it's just two different atmospheres.
Well, it kind of adds just how to make the game more special.
Yeah,
and just
definitely.
More enjoyable to even play in front of those many people.
Right, definitely.
Yeah. What was the ultimate decision to attend Bucknell out of high school?
I was getting real close with the assistant coach that recruited me.
Mm-hmm.
Still close with him, talk to him all the time. And he just was always at my games in high school. So even though there were schools that were bigger that were talking to me, I liked the attention part, I wanted to know if they actually wanted me to play there. And even though things didn't end up working out, I feel like it was the right decision because my 2 years there, he was always helping me grow as a player on and off the court too. So, yeah, I would say it was definitely that. And then they had a history of winning before I had gotten there. They'd been to the NCAA tournament back-to-back years before I had gotten there, so that definitely played into it as well.
I love when we all look at each other and it's like, okay, you go. So at Bucknell, you had a lot of blocks in your sophomore season and were known for being pretty good on the defensive side of the ball. How did that help your confidence going forward?
Helped my confidence a lot. I mean, it's always good whenever you hear your coach call you a defensive impact, right? Even whenever your game is not going well on the offensive end, being able to provide something on the defensive end is always good, especially blocks. I love blocking shots. I mean, who doesn't? It's third, I think, behind breaking somebody's ankles and dunking is just blocking their shot out of bounds. It just brings energy to the whole team, I feel like. And then, I got pretty big hands, so if I time it, I'll either get my finger or my hand on it. So.
Yeah, we've seen you, just with ease be able to palm the basketball so easily. I wish I could even do that once. Might maybe have to deflate the basketball to be able to do that. But what else did you really learn at Bucknell to be able to expand your game and really be able to transition into Robert Morris?
If you saw the before and after pictures, it would be crazy. I came into Bucknell at 6'7", 185, real light, real frail. Thinking I was big body, because I was playing in high school. But I started to play against players like Nate Sestina, who ended up transferring to Kentucky afterwards, now playing with the Nets G League team. And I was playing against other people just as big as him. And I was just getting beat up on at practice. And I just knew that something would have to change. I changed my diet completely, started lifting a lot more. I learned the importance of lifting because I wasn't really taught that as much in high school. But I learned the importance of lifting, changed my body. And then things on the court just got a lot easier. Whenever you're able to hold your own space without getting bumped off your pivot or somebody being able to move you around on defense, it makes the game a lot easier. So I would definitely say that was the main thing that I learned.
All right, and you mentioned, how it didn't work out at Bucknell. How tough was the decision to end up transferring out of Bucknell into here?
The decision was tough, but I knew it was a decision I had to make. I talked it over with my family and my friends. And I'm at peace with it. I was at peace with it when I made the decision. It was tough leaving there because I liked the school and I liked my friends there. I'd been there 2 years, so I built some bonds there. But I was just thinking long term, if I'm making a short term decision, I'm going to regret it later down the road. And for whatever reasons, I knew that it was time for a change. So. And I'm happy with the decision. So.
Yep. What was the moment where you thought Robert Morris is the fit for me? Was it the coaching staff? Was it the team's performance the year prior? What was leading into your decision there?
Kind of like the Bucknell situation. Coach Mike and Coach Toole frequently called me when I was in the transfer portal. I remember our first conversation, and being from the South, I'm not too familiar with the teams in the Northeast, unless they're in the Power 5 conferences. So hearing Robert Morris was new to me, but listened with open ears. Coach Mike broke down just how they run the program, and it just sounded very high level. And being from another university, it was good to be able to hear it and compare what I was having, Going out of high school, you don't really know what to expect, what all you can have at a program. So I had a fair comparison, and just weighing all the odds, it just seemed like a great decision. And you could tell that the school puts a lot of time, focus, and energy into the basketball program, and then the students love the team. So that was definitely it. And then about what you said about the championship game, that added to it. Like, it was just nice seeing the arena packed. I know it was a great atmosphere, and I just wanted to play in that.
So what goes into the transfer portal for, there's got to be a lot of steps, I'm sure, that you got to go through. And just what's the process like of having to transfer from one school to another?
So after you notify your coaches, you're supposed to send like a formal letter to the athletic director so that they can help you get into the portal. And once I did that, really it was all out of my hands. They put me in the portal. I woke up one morning. It was during quarantine. I woke up one morning, and I had an email and then a few text messages, and I was just wondering what was going on. But the email had said that I had been officially put into the portal, and that's whenever I don't know if coaches get an alert or whatever, but coaches started reaching out, and that's all it was. And then after that, it was just recruiting, kind of like high school again, just talking to coaches, gauging interest and weighing the odds.
Was it a more difficult process with the pandemic going on, like for coaches to reach out to you and you trying to find that right fit, or do you think it was?
No, it was definitely more difficult. I don't think COVID really has made much of anything easier.
Right.
Definitely not the recruitment process, and I would say specifically because you don't have that in person, face-to-face interaction. You can Skype and Zoom as much as you want, but it's just different whenever you're talking to somebody in person, and then looking at the school virtually is also different than being on it in person. So it was difficult not being able to visit the schools that I wanted to go to and see the teams practice and stuff, but with the help of my parents and just thoughtful decision making, I feel like we made a great decision.
So how quickly after entering the transfer portal did you decide on Robert Morris? And was there a specific moment, maybe something Coach Toole told you, that made you really feel like this is going to be the place, this is somewhere I can thrive in and really be able to succeed? Did Robert Morris moving from the NEC to the Horizon League have any impact on your decision as well?
So I'll address the second question first. They moved to the Horizon League after I had already committed, so it was just a plus. I hadn't heard of any of the rumors or anything prior to it, but hearing that after I committed was just a bonus, being able to compete at a higher level, And I can't remember exactly how long it was that it took me to commit. I think we talked for about maybe a week and a half or two, just good, productive conversations. And with Coach Mike, he was just talking to me about, I liked how they knew the details of my game. Like, I could tell that they put in time.
They did their research.
Right. They didn't just see me in the portal and reach out. Like, they actually did the research. They were telling me small details and things that they could see that I could improve. And it's always good to get that, that constructive criticism, because that shows you that they see potential in you. You don't ever want to hear that you can't improve, because that means you reach your ceiling. So hearing that from Coach Mike was definitely great. And then just hearing Coach Toole tell me about all the opportunities that would be here for me if I just continue to work hard was even more, because I know nothing's going to be a handout, but if you work, you'll open doors. So that was definitely a plus.
You okay, Nick?
Yeah, that was like I'm choking on my own spit cough. That wasn't a COVID cough. Go ahead, Ethan.
Yeah, how quickly did you get acclimated with the program? I know COVID definitely played a role in that, but how quickly did you get acclimated with with the whole program, especially transferring in during the summer months?
Mm-hmm. In terms of acclimation with the team, it was almost instantly. The first night I was here, we were hanging out, just playing 2K, just having a good time. And I could tell that they already had good chemistry coming in, so it was just like fitting me into the puzzle. It was not like there was much to do. And I just, like always, it takes a little bit to open up. But after a couple weeks, we were already locked in. I felt like I had been here for a couple months, so that was definitely that. And then getting acclimated to the system. It's still going. Nothing's perfect, but I'm definitely seeing every game that I'm feeling more and more comfortable within the system. And then through practices, just getting these pointers from the coaching staff is helping out a lot. So that's still a process, but it's going well.
And I think one of the most infamous moments on Twitter was when, the saga of whether or not your transfer request was going to get approved or not. Yeah. And it originally got denied. Mm-hmm. So what was that feeling like after they made you wait for such a long time to then be told that, yeah, it's denied, you're not going to get to play?
It hurt. It definitely hurt. It hurt because I kind of just, how the NBA players talk about how they hear about getting traded on Twitter. I just saw it on Twitter. My friend had sent me it in a text, and I was just like, dang, like, that's a real tweet. Like, you didn't Photoshop that. So it hurt.
It's a pretty unfortunate way to find out.
Yeah, it was
He's not getting
unfortunate.
punked.
Yeah, definitely. But I don't know. I went into the season not expecting to play right. Coming over as a transfer, I was like, I'll sit out this year, and then I could play 2 years after, just work out. But any basketball player wants to play, right? So when the season started to come up on us and I heard the opportunity that I would be able to play and I saw all these other players getting other transfers approved, it definitely hurt. I couldn't understand the reasoning and I didn't get a reasoning, so I didn't know what it was, but blessing came later down the road. I think it was December whenever they just allowed everybody else to play, so feels like 5 months ago, but it's really just 2 months ago.
So did the NCAA give you any additional information other than what you were told, other than your request was denied? Did they give a reasoning because of that?
No, I still don't really know the full reasoning. I saw the tweet and it didn't have an explanation. And then I talked to Coach Toole about it for a little bit, but there wasn't really much of an explanation in that either. I don't think that anybody really knows why it happened. But it's in the past. I'm just thankful that I'm getting to play now.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And speaking of getting to play, Coach Toole, obviously I'm sure he's helped you grow, but to be trusted and get these reps in the starting lineup so soon into your career here, I mean, what's that do for your confidence?
It definitely does a lot, especially, like I said, not expecting to play this year. It's helping boost my confidence a lot. We got a great group of guys, and it's competitive. It's competitive for minutes, right? So whenever you get that opportunity, you got to cherish it. You got to make the most of it. And I feel like as long as I go out and play hard, the stats will come. But I just want to play hard and continue to impact the way I do, whether I'm starting or coming off the bench. It doesn't matter too much to me.
Yeah. What do you think the main difference is between competing in the Patriot League and then now going and competing in the Horizon League?
I would say athleticism and schemes for sure. The Patriot League is a lot of Princeton offense. Even though Bucknell, we didn't run a Princeton offense. You play 4 or 5 teams in the conference that run that, and it's a lot of fundamentally sound systems run in that conference, and there's a lot of that run in this conference as well. Some fundamentally sound systems, but it's just more athletic. There's bigger people. The game is just played different at a different speed. It's definitely at a different speed and at a different level. But comparing the two, that's really the two main differences I can draw.
And on top of all the other problems you've had to deal with personally with the transfer and everything, your season finally starts. You're going to play, but then there's this stop and go, like you're driving in Pittsburgh traffic kind of situation with your guys' season. So just how did that impact you after, you finally find out you're going to play, and then it's like, now hang on, now you're not. Oh, now you got to wait 2 weeks. Now you got to wait a month. What was that like?
So at first, I wasn't too upset, I was just thinking it would be like a one-time thing. We'd be back, and then we'd be ready to go again. But with the first time that we had to shut down, actually nobody on our team had tested positive. It was just a contact tracing, right? Somebody we had come into touch with. So I was thinking, all right, we're still good. Nobody has it. The second time I actually got it, so I was kind of down. And I can tell you how that personally affected me and my teammates is it just made it harder to get back in the shape that we were in prior to going in quarantine. Like having to go in quarantine for 10 to 14 days definitely affected things like that, like conditioning, not being able to run. You have to stay in your room. But I feel like even through that, the coaches have been working hard to get us on the court as much as possible. Whenever other players were going down, but we still had people eligible on the roster, we were still getting in practices, we were still getting in conditioning and getting in work. So although those abrupt start and stops were an annoyance, I feel like we've still been able to be as productive as we could in this situation.
Are you feeling any after effects of the virus? We've seen just with a lot of people, they might not have the same conditioning or will have to build it back up. Was that a factor?
For me personally, it wasn't. Whenever we first got back to it, you could definitely feel in your chest, like when you run in the cold, how it gets tight.
Yeah.
You definitely feel that type of tightness in your chest. But I would say after a few days, it started to go away. It just felt like getting back into shape all over again, really. But I didn't suffer any after effects, thankfully.
So how did this just time period, as we mentioned, of just not being able to have consistent practices, really affect you being able to mesh with your new teammates?
I feel like it hasn't affected it that much, because from when I've gotten to play this year, I feel like when I'm on the court with my teammates that we mesh pretty well. Of course, there's moments where we'll have breakdowns or whatever, but with us not even having been a team, like with me not even having been on the team for a year now, I still feel like we have a great amount of chemistry on the court, and we have good leaders. We all talk, we communicate with each other on problems that we see, things that we want to fix, and I just think that helped with it as well.
Yeah, and well, amongst the other problems, one thing that's been pretty interesting over the last couple of series, you guys have played in a bunch of overtime games, almost tying an NCAA record with 4 straight. Has the large amount of overtimes games affected the team at all, or is it continuously just we're going to go out there and do our best?
Mentally, it doesn't affect us. I think that anybody that has watched our games, win or loss, will tell you we're never going to start fighting. It could be 7-point game with 15 seconds. We're going to get a steal. We're going to finish it. We're going to still be in the game. You can't turn the game off until the buzzer sounds, right?
Of course.
I just feel like the overtimes are just a result of just how hard we play. Even in the games where we played poorly, we've been able to stretch these games to overtimes because we played hard. And whatever the factors may be, whatever may be holding us back, the overtimes has never affected our mentality to just keep going out there and playing. The only thing I would really be able to say is that with this new back-to-back schedule, it definitely makes it harder playing the next day after you go into an overtime. So it affects us in that way, but mentally, no, the coaches keep us locked into the game plan, and we have short-term memory when it comes to that type of stuff. So
You guys struggled with that 8-game losing streak. How difficult was that for you guys to come to terms with that and just being able to try to keep competing every game? You guys weren't out of a lot of games. You guys were keeping it close, but how difficult was it for you guys to just keep fighting and know something was going to bounce your way at some point?
Honestly, just belief and trust. Belief and trust. I mean, like you said, those games that we were losing by no more than 2-3 possessions.
Right.
They were all close games, and the close games hurt the worst. But I just look at the long picture. Anybody that watches our season, even though they saw we were on an 8-game losing streak, they knew that we're not shabby. We were right there with Wright State. We were right there with Youngstown. We were right there with every team that we played, and even the games that went into overtime. It just gave us. I feel like it gave us confidence. Even though we lost those games, maybe we lost to Wright State by 5 or 7, what it was on the first night. It gave us confidence to know that if we see them again in the tournament, we're not scared. They know that it's not going to be easy. There's no team in this conference that thinks a game against us is going to be easy. So we're prepared, and coming on this final stretch, we're looking to have good 2 games in Detroit, and then next Thursday, buckle up for whoever we got to play in the first round.
Of course. Especially in these last couple games, we've seen your defense on full display. What does it mean to you to just be able to have that extra weapon, not just offensively, but just be able to be such a solid and sound player defensively and get those blocks that you mentioned earlier?
Like I said, it means a lot. I mean, even the games where I have double-digit scoring or rebounds or whatever it may be, if I don't do my job on the defensive end, there's always just going to be something in the back of my head telling me that I can't say it was a good game, And one thing I always like to track is my blocks per game. I just like looking at that, Blocks is a stat that I like, and then there's steals, obviously, but I don't really play for steals, that kind of comes however it comes. But just being a presence on defense is fun, knowing that somebody got that in the back of their mind whenever they're trying to take you one-on-one, that they know it's not going to be easy, it's fun, and then it just comes with the competitive aspect. There might be a little chippiness either way, but it's all out of respect, and you earn respect on the defensive end for sure.
Yeah. Good mentality to have, getting the opponent's head.
Mm-hmm.
So with AJ Brown leaving now, has that like significantly increased your role on the team with him gone now?
I would say so. For the majority of this season, I was the first forward off the bench. AJ and Charles are doing a great job in the starting spots, just providing good minutes, and I just wanted to come in and do what I could off the bench, to bring some energy into the game. And now with AJ gone, there's definitely more minutes to be had. I won't say that like him leaving has definitely opened doors for everybody, not just me. There's a lot of minutes out there, and we're going to need everybody to step up and fill them. And with him leaving, there's points on the board, rebounds that need to be had, defensive plays that need to be made. We're going to need everybody to step up. It's not going to be a one-man effort in any way, two-man effort. It's going to take all of us, and I think we all realize that.
Is there anybody specifically that you've gelled with on the court? Maybe you have a good chemistry with on the team to be able to just kind of just maximize your game.
For me, I feel like I would have to say a guards, because we feed off the guards and the guards feed off us, right? So I definitely meshed well with John. He's been here 4 years. He knows the system very well, like the back of his hand almost. So he'll see little things that I won't see, tell me about him before a play, and then it'll happen. And it just helps build my trust in him, and then me being able to finish off on those plays, the passes he gives me, just trying to dunk them whenever I can around the rim. I hope that builds the trust between him too, and I feel like we just feed well off each other on the court.
And you talked about the Horizon League tournament, this upcoming series against Detroit Mercy, and how you guys don't feel afraid. Last weekend you guys looked great in both games. Looked like everyone knew their role, knew what they had to do. So how much confidence would you say you guys do have going into this tournament now?
A lot. I mean, I feel like I'm a confident person, and not in a bad way. You never want to come off as cocky, but you have to have confidence in yourself, and you gain confidence from the work you put in. And I just know the work that we've put in every day. I see the work that we put in the weight room, on the court, with these guys every day, and it would be a disgrace for me to doubt it. I mean, we didn't put in all this work for no reason, right? And we've seen how close we are with these teams. We're on the same level as them. We came in this conference to compete, and like I said, we're not going to be afraid. You can't go into a fight afraid. And we know that that's what all these games in the conference are going to be. All the way to the championship is going to be a fight. So we just got to keep our heads up, keep going through these practices and building each day, and we know we're going to be good.
And a series that you guys never had the opportunity to play was against Cleveland State. How frustrating was it to not be able to play the leader of the conference?
It was definitely frustrating. Being new to the conference, I wasn't too familiar with the dynamic, like which teams were historically good or whatever, or who was going to be really be at the top of the conference this year. But now, like in hindsight, when I look at it at this point, I kind of wish we would have been able to play them because, like I said, being able to play Wright State, even though we lost, it opened our eyes to how good we can be, how good we can hang around with the best teams. So not playing them was definitely frustrating, but it could be a reward in our eyes too, because maybe they see us in the tournament and they're not expecting as much as we can really bring, and then we just shock them. It's a one game series, so that would definitely be great.
What do you think of games this year with no fans? Obviously, at home, you like to feed off the crowd, and on the road, sometimes can be a detriment. What are road games like without a similar atmosphere with fans, and even home games as well?
It's definitely different. You lose that excitement and just the natural experience that you get from the fans that we've all taken for granted because we never thought that it would be gone, The little things, just hearing the people arguing with the ref in the crowd or just chatting at you because they don't like you. Yeah. It's just fun. It's always been fun. And not having that there, it's hard, but it's still basketball. Once you get into the flow of the game and they have the sounds playing on the speaker, you kind of forget that there's nobody there because you're not really focused on that. You're worried on playing the game. So, like I said, it would be nice, hearing the crowd roar whenever you do something nice, but I think we can wait for a little while. It's for the best.
How much has the bench played a role in it, being that crowd noise, being that supporter for you guys, for the people out on the floor?
Definitely a big factor. You know, we have great managers and team assistants that try and provide noise on the sideline at all times, and the coaches preach to us to have an active bench. You know, like you said, we're our energy. There's no crowd, so if our energy's dead and we're in a dry spell in the game, that's just going to carry over, and none of us want that. So I feel like we just continually cheer each other on. We have defensive chants that we have on the other end to keep it loud, try and distract the other team from hearing their plays and stuff. So that's definitely a factor now.
Yeah, and we've been to a couple games. We've definitely heard how loud the bench has been, so that's a good thing to have as you go down. But you mentioned the confidence in the team and stuff on defense as well. But what do you think one of the major keys is going forward to both do well for the remainder of the season and then recapture that winning atmosphere?
It's going to be important, as Coach Toole always says, that we string together days. We need to just keep stringing together good practices. We had a good workout earlier today. Guards, forwards workout, and we're going to have a competitive practice tomorrow, and then Thursday we're going to be scouting leading into this weekend. So we need to be stringing together days. We can't take any of these days for granted because they're limited now. We realize that there's only 3 more games that are guaranteed to us, and if we want to keep playing, we got to be locked in. So focus is definitely going to be necessary for that, and to just reclaim that winning atmosphere. If we just buy into all that Coach Toole wants us to, and we move as a unit, I feel like we'll be good in that regard.
What has been your favorite part of being at Robert Morris so far? Does anything stand out specifically that just makes you really happy to be here?
I'd have to say the games. even though there's no fans, I love playing basketball, and I like the system we have. I like my role in the team, so it's always fun playing games. That would have to be my favorite. I mean, I know there's definitely more around campus, but with COVID, it's kind of limited, and I'm not going out much because I'm trying to stay eligible for the season.
Right.
You know, but definitely the games and just being around my teammates and working out is definitely fun.
Anybody else have anything to add? Any final thoughts?
Final thoughts? I mean, tune in this weekend. See us hopefully take 2 in Detroit, and then be ready for next Thursday because it's going to be a fight, and we're expecting to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to be ready. We're going to be happy to watch it.
All right.
Well, Cool. Thanks for joining us, man. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Well, for Ethan Morrison, Tyler Gallo, and Nick Hederick, I'm Austin Bechtold. Thank you for listening to this very special edition of the Tool Shed, and we will see you very soon.